on to part 2 of how endometriosis-associated pain becomes chronic. Refer below for the link to part 1. Let's talk pain science for a minute. For simplicity's sake, right now, pain is an output when the brain feels it is in danger. It is a danger message. It isn't the only output. Anxiety, fear, anger, exhaustion, and a host of other symptoms can all be other outputs. But for our sake, when it comes to endometriosis, let's stick with pain. I'm Jill Mueller, pelvic health physiotherapist in Ontario, Canada. I have a passion for helping people with endometriosis, and you can check out my story in the video My Why that I'll link below. The tissue and local factors that we talked about in part 1, like inflammation, bleeding, increased nerve and blood supply, and local immune responses are only one factor that is considered when pain is produced. We are now going to look at the other factors that could be feeding into endometriosis-associated pain. If the endometriotic tissue is producing inflammation and chemical and mechanical irritation, that can send a signal to the spinal cord and up to the brain that something is going on that needs attention. This is motivating you to do something about it, like getting help. But let's have a look at the context of what goes on here with endometriosis. We're trying to get help, but we're told by family members, friends, and even medical practitioners that period pain is normal. We're told to just relax or get pregnant, to take this medication or that, and everything will be fine. And you may even leave feeling that they're telling you that it's all in your head. You may feel unheard and not believed, and this is called gaslighting. We aren't getting the help needed. We aren't feeling supported, so these signals can become amplified, and this is going to lead into our next topic, sensitization. You know when you have a sunburn, a warm shower that felt pleasant the day before all of a sudden might feel scalding? This happens because the inflammation caused by the sunburn alters the sensitivity of the nerves known as nociceptors in the peripheral nervous system, which is all of the nerves that exist outside of the spinal cord and the brain. And this is a healthy protective response. These receptors are trying to protect us from further damage. But when this sensitization happens at the nerves outside of the spinal cord and brain, this is actually called peripheral sensitization. The threshold for input that may be potentially damaging is lowered, meaning it doesn't take as much input to produce pain or discomfort. In the case of the sunburn, the nerves at the level of the damaged skin become oversensitive to things like touch, movement, stretch, and temperature. This sensitivity of these local nerves that are irritated and inflamed send a more magnified signal to the spinal cord and finally up to the brain, where it is ultimately decided this is clearly a strong signal that it will pay attention to and provide discomfort or pain in order to get you help or make you protect it. It is believed that the things that we talked about in part 1, altered nerve density at lesion sites, changes in the peritoneal fluid, and alterations in the autonomic nervous system, may be what contributes to peripheral sensitization. There is another phenomenon we can consider when it comes to endo-associated pain, and that is cross-sensitization. This refers to danger or threat messages from a disease or irritated tissue or organ impacting the perception of pain arising from normal tissue or organs in close proximity. So stay with me here. Let's consider the structures in the pelvis: the bladder, rectum, uterus, vagina, and pelvic floor muscles. The bladder, bowel, and uterus are like triplets that influence each other. If one is pissed off, it can try and get the others on its side. It's suggested that sensitized nerves of the uterus and vagina can talk to their buddies in there and create sensitization in the visceral nerves or organ nerves of the other organs nearby, and vice versa. This likely happens because these nerve pathways actually overlap, converging on similar areas of the spinal cord. And this is referred to as visceral convergence, meaning one ticked off organ can tick off the other organ next to it. And this likely explains other symptoms people with endometriosis experience, like irritable bowel syndrome and bladder pain syndrome, or interstitial cystitis, to name a few. Cross-sensitization has also been observed between pelvic floor muscles and pelvic organs. So the pelvic floor can get cranky and contribute to pain and symptoms, and this is referred to as somatovisceral convergence. Sensitivity to danger or threat messages can change, causing something called hyperalgesia, and any future pain will be magnified and form a memory of the unpleasant event in the brain. These changes that happen in the brain and at the spinal cord level can lead to something called pain system hypersensitivity or central sensitization. This is starting to be shown as the leading factor that is being missed and mismanaged in the current treatment of endometriosis and many other chronic pain diseases and syndromes, and research is supporting this. So let's address central sensitization or pain system hypersensitivity in part 3. This is a topic I'm most passionate about, so I'll see you over in that video.